there, Mean-Mugging with Chinny G. Welcome everybody, welcome. Tonight I'm joined by Super Fight League's Gary Mangat. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it perfect.
Excellent. I'm so proud of myself.
Good start.
We're going to jack some volume here. Right on. Right on. So, you got a big fight coming up. Against Hector Lopez at SFL 40.
Yep.
Yeah, and
it's a big one.
It is a big one, and you've been training with some really cool people for this fight.
To some people they're cool. To me, it was straight hell. So you know, it's guys for sure. But to you guys, what's really cool? It's definitely cool. It's an honor, but it's not like I'm hanging out having lunch with these guys or having picnics and stuff. Right?
Well,
these guys are.
You're putting in work.
It's the best in the world coming from my head every single day at the gym. So. Right.
You come up. I mean, you're 6-0 as a pro.
6-1.
6-1. Sure dog was off the mark. 6-1 as a pro. You've got, but you're a sub guy. You've got one KO TKO, but you're a sub guy. You got great ground game.
The funny thing is I'm not a sub guy. That's the thing. But somehow that opening always happens in a fight. I'm not probably the best jiu-jitsu guy. I'm probably more of a stand-up guy every time people ask me. But you go on my Sure Dog record and it says rear naked choke all across the board. And it's something that opens up all the time. And it's cool that these guys kind of come into these fights with that defense, knowing that probably like the last 3, 4, 5 opponents have been subbed out. And the next guy always gets caught in the same thing. It's just the unorthodox way I always get the submission. I think that's what it is.
Right.
And just setting up bad situations for these guys and just kind of catching them in that moment.
If it's open, you got to grab it for sure, man. For sure.
And I always do.
But your pro record says you're 6-1, but you're by no means new to this game. You honed your skills on the amateur circuit. You're 7-2, Amy.
Yeah. 7-2 as an amateur. I actually started my career in Washington, where I'm going back to go fight now, because amateur MMA wasn't even allowed in BC at the time when I started. So we had to go across the border. Of those kind of competitions, like let alone professional MMA, amateur MMA wasn't even allowed back in 2008 to about 2010 or so. So I always had to cross the border and go compete with those guys out there just to get some experience around there. Right.
But obviously, it did you a world of good. The majority of your fights took place with Battlefield. Yeah. So you had a pretty good home there for a while, fighting for them.
Yeah. Won the featherweight belt with them as an amateur. So I won my first belt. Then I just transitioned into the pros with them too. They were turning pro as a league, and then I turned pro right there with them. So nothing really changed, which was cool. It was just another couple minutes added on to the 3 minutes. Then it turned into 5 minutes, and just a couple more things were allowed: knees to the face, elbows to the face, and all those kind of things. So those little things added on. It wasn't that big of a transition, which was nice because Battlefield gave us that platform as amateurs to get experience. If you go to a lot of these kind of promotions, like I'm not sure exactly out in the States, but out in the East, they make you wear shin pads. They would make you wear 16-ounce in amateur fights in the cage. It's not really. It's kind of like just sparring, but with a crowd around you. Where Battlefield kind of just gave us, I think, what were they, 7-8 ounce, and and they let us get the experience. And some of the amateurs in BC are better than a lot of the pros that I've seen around, and it's because the platform here in BC is getting very strong. A lot of good training guys here that can hold their own with a lot of pros.
Right on. I noticed you're from Willie's Puddle.
Yeah, I'm from Williams Lake, man.
Yeah.
I'm from a small town, home of a lot of heroes, man. They're right now in the Habs, Carey Price, Rick Hansen. So, you know, we got a it's something in our water that makes us athletes out there, man. It's something with the lake water over the ocean water.
Yeah, and one of the best rodeos in Western Canada.
That's another thing, man. A lot of tough guys, man. A lot of crazy stuff happens during those radios.
Yeah.
During those rodeos.
So what was your sport growing up?
I was just another one of those kids that got tossed into soccer because it was the cheapest sport. You can get used shin pads and soccer shoes, and
right. I was.
That's basically what it was. I was put in Taekwondo for a very limited time when I was in grade. Man, how old was I? 8 years old, but I wouldn't even count as experience because I never wanted to be there. I would just stare at the clock for an hour and be like, "Yo, can I go home now? Like, I'm bored. Like, I don't want to keep doing this stupid stuff." And the thing is, I was always the smallest kid there, so the bigger kids loved sparring with me, and usually it wasn't even sparring, it was just me taking a beating, and then going on to the next guy and taking a beating from another guy, and then we'd have Royal Rumble matches and the Lost and Found match, and whoever threw my ass in the Lost and Found match as fast as it could won. So it was really nothing that I can really say experience that I took of martial arts in my childhood. I wouldn't count it as anything.
Right. So when did you start? Like, you've been fighting. You started your MMA career in 2008.
Yeah.
So
how I came into the sport is kind of funny. I actually moved up to Vancouver to become an accountant. So I came.
That went terribly wrong.
Yeah. So I kind of came up here in Vancouver, and I was supposed to get a degree and become an accountant. I was going to school, and things happen in life, man. And I was just at a bar with friends, and we were watching the UFC, and I just kind of threw it out there. I'm like, I think I could do this. And they just kind of laughed at me because the thing is, in my groups, I was always the smallest kid in every single one of, like, amongst my peers. And it was always easier for me to listen to their opinions and just kind of mix in and be the follower. And I think I kind of just realized in that moment, I kind of had an epiphany moment in that moment that my whole life up until that point was me just listening to others and really just never challenging myself, just hoping that something easy falls for me and life gets set.
Right.
And the more I went through everything, I realized nothing comes easy. And the sport that I'm in, nothing comes easy on the daily. Yeah, it was just a challenge 24 hours at a time. It was the hardest thing I've done. It's still the hardest thing I do every single day. It's plenty of times I wanted to give it up. Plenty of times I wanted to walk away. It was way easier to walk away than to stick with it. But every day I've stuck with it, man. And 24 hours at a time, I've become what we're at we're 8 years later almost now. Well, 7 years later.
I checked out some of your fights on YouTube. I actually was going to play a clip here, but somehow my computers got crossed. I don't know how. so I'm not. Oh, look at that! I just lost you. Oh, there you are again. Okay, but it somehow it just I'm not gonna be able to play the clip because you're on my Skype screen. But you're a beast.
A beast, thank you.
You are, man. You're a beast.
I'm a beast in the cage. Outside, I'm probably the nicest guy you'll come across, man. I'm a family man. I'm a brother to two. I'm a son to my mom and dad. I'm a boyfriend to my girlfriend. I'm just that guy, man. I'm just that guy trying to really kind of inspire my community. The thing is, my target is my South Asian community worldwide. It really is. I want to target the world. But at the end of the day, it's my South Asian heritage, my Sikh heritage, that has not been represented in the UFC, that has not been represented on the big stages of MMA. And yet we are a warrior culture. If you go back into my ancestor stories, it's all about faith and determination and believing in what you believe in and fighting through it and not giving it up. And it has not been represented. It's somewhere been lost in the generations. And here we are with a beautiful sport called mixed martial arts, where there should be somebody that should be telling the world at this day that this is actually the actual history. Yes, we have doctors. Yes, we have lawyers. Yes, we have all that stuff. We have accountants. We have people with stable jobs and everything. But we somewhere along the way lost the values of being warriors, humble people.
Right.
Strong, never let down, but still we carry ourselves with humbleness and selfless action at the end of the day. And that's something that needs to be represented. And that's what I've kind of dedicated my whole life to now.
Well, I know.
And it just, I don't know how I kind of took on the responsibility. I don't know if I should even be taking on the responsibility. It's just something that helped me stay with this and stick with it. And the people that I was coming across, they were saying like, you know, you've inspired me, this and this, and I found reason to keep going for those reasons.
I know. I traveled the social media circuit, and I hit all the MMA sites and whatnot. And a while back, I guess it'd be about a year or so ago now, I mentioned, because people were getting down on Vitor Belfort for bringing up his faith, right? And I casually mentioned, well, all great warriors, if you go back through history, are men of faith. Regardless.
It's true, and Vitor Belfort is one of my, I would say, like one of my biggest role models coming into the sport. He was one of the guys that I grew up watching with my cousins who were much older, and they used to just force me to watch. And I would see this 18-year-old jack dude, and I'm like, how do I look like that guy? They're like, listen, if you drink your milk every day, you'll look like him one day. And I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
And then, and then just seeing his family history, seeing what had happened to his sister, and him finding faith through his sister literally being raped and killed, and this guy yet found God through those reasons. That's a pretty powerful reason. Most people find it on happier reasons, not the fact that some of the worst thing that can happen when you don't even have, your sister has disappeared and you don't even have closure on that, and yet that's how you found it. It's a pretty powerful thing if you really think about it. It's easier to find it when something good happens. You're like, oh, thank you, God, this is good.
Yeah.
To find it in the most worst times, I can't help but respect a man like that.
Yeah, me too. I totally agree with you. And like you said, it's easy to find your faith when life is good, isn't it? And but when things turn upside down, most people walk away.
You find faith in the hardest situations. A lot of people don't know there's a lot more down days than there is up days. Really, the up day is the day I get the victory. There's been nothing but hell during this training camp. There's nothing but emotional roller coasters during this training camp, between training, family, social relationships, and all those kind of things. They're all part of this training camp. They're all part of every training camp.
Yeah.
And it's tough, and people think it's some sort of just rockstar lifestyle. It's not, man. It's not. It's literally, it's a man's belief versus another man's vision and belief, and who believes in it more to keep it going. That's really what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I had Ryan Ford on the show here about a week ago, and we were talking. I talked to Ryan quite a bit, and we were talking about his injury and whatnot. And he says, never happens in a fight. I get injured, it's always in the training camp. I work so much, I work way harder in the training camp than I ever do in the cage when I go to fight. But people don't, you hear it all the time. Oh, he backed out of this fight, and the guys are calling the guy, whoever's got to back out a pussy or whatever, and it's like, are you kidding me? Right? But
one thing I can say is that nobody is truly ever going to understand what a fighter goes through. Even like family and friends, my parents, my sister, my brother, my closest friends, as much as I can describe it, they won't get it.
Right.
They don't get the exhaustion. They won't get it. They can only understand so much because they won't step in there. It's until the only person you can really relate to is other fighters who have really kind of hit that peak day in and day out, and those are really the only people that you can relate to.
Well, it takes a special breed of man to walk into the cage and face another man. It does, because it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. Chances are you're going to get hit throughout the process. He's in there to hurt you too, and it takes a huge set to step in the cage like that, man.
That's what, and that's like another thing I always say. I always say the greatest respect for a man that I have in the arena that I'm in is always for the man across from me, not the people outside. It is the man that's coming for my head as much as I'm coming for his. Because it's like how I always differentiate between a street fighter and a mixed martial artist is, you can walk out of a nightclub, you can be on liquid courage, you can be hammered, and you can have a fight that lasts 20 seconds, and you think you're the biggest man around. But let me take that same man and tell him, listen, on this day, at this hour, there will be a man that is trained for you and will steer you across. Tell me that man will not lose sleep. Tell me that man will not stay awake. Tell me that man will not crumble. That man will not have some sort of fear leading up to those times.
Yeah.
It takes a special man not to mentally break in and leading up to a fight. Right now, it's the hardest part. The week of the fight is always hard. It's 99% mental now. The physical's all done. I've done it all. Now I'm just sitting here just playing it. Every situation, every single thing that can happen this Saturday, I'm playing it.
Yeah.
But I can easily just walk outside, run into the next guy, and fight him, and be like, man, I feel tough because it's something that happens so quickly. It's nothing I have to think about. But sit around and have something scheduled, and know people are going to tune in, and know people are going to watch, and know that you've trained, and know that guy's also trying to take himself one step further. It's a different level. It's a lot of different things, man.
No doubt.
It's a completely different way of living. It's a lifestyle.
It is indeed. I know a lot of fighters. I'm a little bit older than you. I picked up jiu-jitsu when I was 46. I started taking Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I find fighters are just the coolest people, man. They are, I don't run into really big bad egos. I haven't had that happen to me with the people I've had the chance to hang out with.
Yeah, the true fighters are. There is some, the true fighters, I would say. The ones that have fought professionally and stuff. They, I think, are the most humble people. I've been to TriStar. I've been around guys like George. I've been around guys like Ryan Ford and stuff like that. Nicest guys to chill out with.
Yeah.
You know what? To everybody's eyes, they're the most badass men, and they can be egotistical as much as they want to. But they're some of the nicest guys I meet. A lot of the UFC fighters that I know. Nicest guys I can come up to. There's guys who fight amateur here who I can't probably talk to on a professional level, then get respect. Then how a guy who's pound for pound, who's the best welterweight champ, and that guy will come out of his way and shake your hand. It's something else, man. It's something that you learn as a warrior, as a true fighter. It's not a move that you get taught. It's not a way. It's a way of life you've adopted. And it comes with it. It's like some of these guys on these smaller circuits, some of the amateur guys, it's all about partying. It's all about getting chicks and stuff like that. A lot of the guys that I know that are have truly made it, those aren't the things that get you at the gym in the morning. Those are not the things that get you punched in the face, because there are a lot easier ways to pick up chicks than there is to get punched in the face and have some dudes sweating all over you. I can think of a lot of different ways. If that's your motive, man, your priorities are pretty messed up.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed you're wearing a Never Tap shirt.
Yeah, just my boy Chris Mills just tossed it to me. Sponsored me for this next fight, for the SFL fight. It's comfortable, man. It's nice, actually. It's hot right now, so it's a comfortable beater.
Right on, brother. It looks good, too.
Yeah, I'll be repping him during the fight, and a bunch of other sponsors that have definitely supported me through this camp and stuff like that, and yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, this show is carried by MMA Madhouse, who I'm sure you're familiar with.
Okay.
And
yeah, I've heard of them.
And the Global Combat Network. Well, they're out of BC, right?
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah. Carl, the guy who Carl and Skippy, Carl the Madman and Skippy Cohen run that, and Carl lives in Caslow, BC. And Skippy is actually in Oklahoma, where your opponent is from. Coming up.
My opponent's from Oklahoma? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So that's and yeah, he was actually chirping in. Skippy was chirping in when I posted about you last night. And he said, yeah, and he says, oh, I'm going with Lopez, and blah, blah, blah. I say, yeah, well, Mangat is from Canada, is Canadian, so he's my pick. But this will be a good fight.
Way to go, man.
This will be an absolutely bang. I think this will be a great fight.
Yep, it will be. It definitely will. From my end, I'm bringing some very different things. I'm trying to break the boundaries of my martial arts game now. That's the thing. I've learned the basics. I've gotten used to the basics. I know how things are thrown. And if you see the next evolution, the next generation of fighters, you look at the Conor McGregors, you look at the Roy McDonalds, their styles are all unorthodox.
Yeah.
Where the George St. Pierre kind of era was that technical, everything had to be so fine-tuned. The wrestling had to be so concrete. The stand-up had to be so perfect and everything. I think now people have kind of got the idea. Now they're becoming more elusive. They're going back to more traditional martial art and taking things out of there. Guys are going to Wing Chun. Guys are going to Capoeira. Guys are going to Taekwondo, Showtime, with, Anthony Pettis, all these guys, right? Yeah. So these are the kind of things that I'm picking up and I'm trying to bring in on the early. So I'm with the wave of the next generation. I don't want to be the guy catching up. I want to be part of this wave. I want to be the guy that people are talking about. Like, you know what, in that weight class, and like when I was when I was training at AMC with Mighty Mouse, he was saying, he's like, dude, you move very different. You move very different. It's very hard to catch you. And that's pretty crazy to hear that from
one of the best pound for pound partners on the planet. Yeah.
Exactly. So I know that I was working on something right, and I'm hoping that it all comes together in that moment, and you guys are like, dude, this is something else.
Indeed.
And it gets me to the bigger stages.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a big stage for you. SFL is a great organization.
Yep.
Biggest.
I fought for SFL in India in front of 10,000 people, and that was crazy, worldwide stream, and that was probably one of the craziest moments I've had in my career. And that was just when it was in my third pro fight.
Right.
And I got to do that.
Very, very cool. So, very cool. And I love the talent pool coming out of SFL, coming out of India itself. It's ridiculous, and it's a market that has been ignored until SFL broke on the scene.
Yep, definitely. For me, I've been fighting on 135 this whole time, and now that the 125 weight class is opening up, I'm possibly dropping down to there. I'm doing this next one at 130 at a catch weight. I've never gone down to even 130 yet, so I'm actually doing the cut right now to 130 because that's what the fight's at.
Right.
But my home, I think, will be at 125 after this. It won't be at 135 anymore.
Right. What's your walk around weight?
145, 147. So
your cut at the moment isn't too bad. I like my food. I couldn't cut weight. Couldn't do it. Chinny couldn't do it.
Not right now. You, the discipline, and oh man, you have no idea. This is the worst week. Nobody talks to me during this week. I'm doing this with you, but as far as my family, my girlfriend, everybody, they avoid me this week, man.
Yeah.
I'm just right now, my stomach's turning. I just
we won't talk about that no more. But you're such a personable, likable guy, man. You really are.
Thank you.
Oh man, no, thank you. It's my show's a little different than the way I approach things. I'm not one of those guys who. This is just supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be. There's no intensity. There's no. It's a relaxed atmosphere, and I find even watching Ariel Helwani and stuff like that, he doesn't have that relaxed nature about him. He's also.
He's just chill.
Yeah, he's a different kind of dude. And I know when Ryan Ford was on his show, he, there's questions that really just don't need to be asked,
Right.
And me, I don't, you don't put somebody on the spot. That's just a dick thing to do,
Right.
Yeah. But I really appreciate you making the time for me, man. I know you got a lot on the go this week, and
thank you for having me.
Oh no, man! I'll have you anytime. You're a great guest, man.
Thank you, brother.
I know I had a guy on the show the other day, and you could tell he just didn't like being on the camera. He didn't like.
Oh, really? Yeah. Me, I understand it's part of the job, man. And if we look at guys like Conor McGregor, it gets you paid a lot more if you can understand the camera and enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people that want to see you if they can see the personality behind your punches and kicks than just some basic dude, right? So it pays.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, personality.
And once you understand the business model of that and the business model of fighting, it can become a very powerful thing. Look at the Mayweathers, look at the Conor McGregors, look at the guys, man. They're the cash cows because of that. Yeah. But
you remind me a lot of you're humble. Like you remind me of Smilino Rama. I had him on the show, and like you, he started out playing soccer.
It's all right.
Yeah. I think he said 9 years he played soccer.
Yeah, I played for 17.
Yeah.
Almost.
And soccer and basketball, but for me that wasn't a surprise hearing that because he's Greek, right? So growing up that made sense to me, total sense. And he didn't get into mixed martial arts till later on either.
Mm-hmm.
But just
it happens, man. That's a beautiful thing about the sport too, is that you can pick it, if you can just focus your mind to it, you can pick it up quick. But the thing is, whenever kids tweet me or message me or meet me outside or something like, dude, so what do? I'm like, go in a gym, sign up, start training. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
That's it. It's really that simple. You don't need the best trainers. You don't need the best gym. You just need to find a gym with a program and begin. And from there, your pathway will lead itself in the way it's supposed to lead you. That's it. That's really it. That's where it begins from. You can talk to guys like Mighty Mouse, who walked into AMC and became Matt Hume's protege, and would he have known that he would have been his, that's his life literally, right?
Right.
You never know where you walk into. You just let the road lead. I would have never imagined training in Montreal amongst the best guys, or training with Mighty Mouse, or training with Ibiano Fernandez every single day, him being my mentor. I didn't even know Ibiano, a 1FC champion, literally till 3 years into training. One day just walking in the gym, didn't even know who he was, comes up to me, he's like, hey bro, you need a partner? I'm like, sure. He's like, you want to train tomorrow? I'm like, sure. He's like, be here at 10 o'clock. Since that day, we haven't been separate. Since 10 o'clock in the morning, almost 6-7 years ago, we've not been separate since that day, only to realize this guy now has become the top 5 bantamweight in the world, the undefeated 1FC champion, my mentor, my guiding guy in life. I wouldn't even say it's MMA, it's in life. And that's just the way the pathway is. Just me walking into a gym, just signing up and beginning, and who knows where else this is going to go. And that it's really that simple. People overcomplicate shit too much. That's the thing about anything. Just begin. Just take the first step in anything. I don't care if it's fighting or anything you do, just go. Don't need a full-out, foolproof plan before you begin something. Just go and go with it. Enjoy it. You're going to go through struggles. You're going to fall. You're going to get tested if this is even what you want. If you were lying to yourself the whole time. All these things come as you go.
Yeah.
Everyone's been tested, whether you want to become a doctor, a fighter, or whatever you want to become, you're going to get tested in these things. So just begin. That's it.
Yeah, that dedication is intense, man. That's intense dedication. You know?
That's it. It's man. I get asked this all the time. They're like, what do you do? Are you talented? I do not think I'm talented one bit. I don't think I run on any talent. I'll work on 3 things my father taught me: hard work, dedication, and faith. Those 3 things you can gear towards anything. If I wanted to become a basketball player, I bet you I could make it to the NBA if I really believed it that much. If that passion of mine really drove me that much, I would go through hell and back to be that guy. I could make it to the NHL. I could do anything I want to do. I really believe that. With just those 3 things, I didn't need to be brought up as a fighter. I didn't need to be brought up with a martial arts background. I didn't need to be brought up as a wrestler with a collegiate background. I didn't need any of those things. I had 3 things. Those 3 things I used to apply in my schooling. Then I took those 3 things and I applied it to mixed martial arts. The same way I used to take notes on in accounting was the same way I used to slow frame by frame of a St. Pierre fight and take notes on why was this foot moving this way. I didn't even know what I was studying. I didn't even know. The first thing I learned was a Superman punch. I didn't even know how to jab before I learned how to do a Superman punch because I just broke the frame down and took notes. I took 20 pages on a Superman punch. Superman punch takes less than 2 seconds to do, and I took 20 pages on that damn shit.
Yeah.
So that was just me just going, I don't know what I'm learning, but I feel like this is what you got to do. How do they approach the middle? What are the first things you do? How do they feel out process? All these things were just little building blocks I built up every single day that I do every single day till now. And that's what training camps are. Training camps, it's just a lifestyle. I wouldn't even say I'm in training camp. I train 365 days a year.
Right.
I train 2 to 3 times a day every single day. I rarely take vacation. I've never really taken a vacation. My vacations are training. I go to Montreal, that's my vacation. I'm training with the beds. I'm on vacation now.
Right.
So
I wish I could have a vacation like that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh. Until I make it, and until I can take care of my parents, my family, my future wife, I'm on the grind, man. I'm on the grind every day.
Well,
That's it.
I'll tell you, brother. I've talked to. I know you've got people that believe in you big time. I know Chris.
Right.
I know Chris believes in you big time, and
Right.
he says you've got everything it takes to make it to the UFC.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about me believing it, right? And it's about me believing and putting the work. That's really all it is. There's plenty of people that don't think I have it. Trust me, there is. There always will be.
Hey, haters can be your motivators, right?
It's motivated, exactly. For me, it's me, right? I gotta put in the work. I can sit here and tell people, like people can tell me I'm good. People can tell me I deserve the UFC. But I gotta put in the work. I gotta put in that work. I gotta do these miles. I gotta put in the sparring rounds. I gotta make these travels. I gotta make these networks to train with the best guys. I gotta make these things happen. No one's gonna do it for me. That's why, like, even my family around me, they support me, they love me, they stand by me. My girlfriend's been through hell and back during my training camp. That woman deserves her own credit in her own half. Like, a woman that stands by a fighter, most people don't even know how hard that is. And it's all just a team effort, but it's me that goes in the cage, it's me that goes in the gym, it's me that makes the most of it.
Right.
And I got to do the work. Because these people stand beside me and they do their role and I got to do my role.
Well, that's the thing about being a fighter. The successful fighters have really good people around them. Not some of the time, but all the time.
Yeah. And you notice if your mind is positive, the bad people will just filter themselves out. I wouldn't say I'm around all the same people that I was when I started this. I wouldn't say I'm around the same people that I was 4 years ago, or even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the real people have stuck around, and the fakes have disappeared. And honestly, the best time, the one time where I didn't understand it, but everybody told me, was when I took my first loss. And whoever needed disappeared, because I was, apparently in their eyes, I was done. Right? So there was people even that left the arena right after that fight, and I had never heard from them after that. They disappeared after that. People that were in touch with me all the time.
Yeah.
As soon as the loss had just happened, it wasn't even a couple days later, literally after the fight, and I never heard from these people again. You know what? It was the best thing that could happen to me.
Absolutely.
In life and in fighting and in everything. It just cleared my circle out. It made my priorities straight, that my family, my close circle of friends, and the community I represent, the most important thing to me.
Very cool.
That's it. That's really it. I'm not looking for popularity. The only reason I look for popularity is so I can get my message out further. The only reason I need fame is so I can get the message out even further. That's the only reason.
Right.
It's the only reason. The bigger I get, the more my words will reach. And that's the only thing I'm trying to do. And that's really all it is. That's the only reason I would ever need fame.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, brother, anytime you want to come on my show, you're more than welcome. More than welcome, man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Oh, man, I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been. I just can't. I mean, you're just such a likable dude,
It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for letting me talk on your show. Thank you for letting me spread the message, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime. And we will, if it's cool with you, we'll hook up after your fight here at...
Definitely.
And that's going down
I'll
April.
probably be in Williams Lake. Probably be in Willie's Puddle, where I'll do that one from.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And that's going down, folks. SFL 40 is going down April 25th, 2015 at the Emerald Queen Casino, Tacoma, Washington. Check it out if you're in the area. It's going to be a great fight. And it's going to be streaming on YouTube.